Tolsimir, Friend to Wolves, versus Massacre Girl, Yidris Maelstrom, Wielder, and Atraxa, Praetors' Voice. Now, that hand is too big and expensive to keep. Question is, if we mulligan that, are we going to get into any lands? Well, we get a free mulligan in multiplayer, so I think we have to go for it. Alright, let's mulligan there, and yeah, I actually prefer that. It's a really good way to dump your hand onto the board and do nothing else, but at least we have mana, so we'll keep it. Massacre Girl is 5 mana, a new commander from War of the Spark, a 4/4 human assassin. She has Menace, and when she enters the battlefield, each other creature gets -1/-1. Whenever a creature dies this turn, each creature other than Massacre Girl gets -1/-1 until the end of the turn, so she chains a bunch of deaths together basically, especially if there's creatures with just 1 toughness in play. Yidris Maelstrom, Wielder is 4 mana for a 5/4 with trample, every colour except white. When it deals combat damage to a player, you may cast spells from your hand this turn as though they had Cascade. Atraxa, Praetors' Voice is every colour except red. It's a 4 mana 4/4 with Flying Vigilance, Death Touch and Lifelink, and at the beginning of your end step you proliferate. Let's just get down the Canopy Vista and throw it back over to our opponents. I don't want to be the first one to get mana acceleration down, otherwise that will swing everyone's line of sight in our direction. And then last, and probably least actually, Tolsimir, Friend to Wolves is a 5 mana Simic commander, a 3/3 elf scout, and when it enters it comes in with Voja, Friend to Wolves, a legendary 3/3 Simic wolf token. When a wolf enters under our control we gain 3 life, and that creature fights a target creature we don't control. Massacre Girl, in the meantime, getting down a Mana Crypt and a Pilgrim's Eye, so they were able to accelerate their board quite nicely there, and they still have 6 cards in hand as well. Yidris just going for another land and then taps out, and a Demonic Tutor from Atraxa. That is always worrying to see. Okay, Wandering Wolf we can get down, but I'm not going to. Let's just go for the Temple Garden. We'll put that into play tapped. I don't think anyone's going to be too worried about a Birds of Paradise now, so we'll just play that. Pass the turn back over. Okay, and straight into a Season Perverter of Truth for 5 mana. And who did that peck? That was at Yidris. This is at the beginning of each player's upkeep. They lose 2 life and draw 2 cards. Well, as a Celestia player, I'm not going to complain about that. Especially with the life gain, I think we have the most to gain from this. Every time we play a wolf, we'll gain 3 life, which means we'll actually go up a life. Rhythm of the Wild is worrying because that means that Yidris Maelstrom Wielder can come down with haste. Can also come down with a +1/+1 counter, but I imagine Yidris is just going to come down with haste for that. And a Soul Ring into Narset Transcendent. So that points us in the direction of Super Friends. Alright, we get into some ramp there, so that's good. Let's just go for the 3 visits. And then at that, I think we can pass the turn. Hopefully these 2 creatures go in at Narset. She is good card advantage. When you cast your next instant and sorcery spell from your hand this turn, it gains rebound. I don't know how relevant that's going to be. Maybe get a couple of board wipes in a row off of her. But there's no doubt in my mind that these 2 things should be going in at Narset, and there we go. A Phyrexian Tower has come down as well, so that's a good sack outlet, and then Sidisi also. Probably going after, sacrificing the Pilgrim's Eye to get a tutor. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on in the early game. And it looks like Yidris is coming down. I wonder where that's headed. Atraxa Super Friends tends to get a lot of hate, so it might be that it's going there. This thing has trample, so it could go straight through our Birds of Paradise, but they're opting... Oh, they went for a plus counter on it. I just assumed that this would come down with haste. Yeah, I suppose they can't cast anything with the Cascade anyway, so they might as well try and push through trample damage with Yidris. Let's see if we get a board wipe from Atraxa here. Super Friends packs a lot of board wipes, which doesn't really bode well for us. There we are, that looked like a board wipe to me. Toxic Deluge. Got rid of all the creatures in play, which I have no problem with. Let's see. Yep, they went with each player draws a card there, I think, didn't they? Yeah, +2, each player draws a card, so they're going for the group hug with Jace. Okay, let's go for an Aura Shards into a Wandering Wolf, and I'll get rid of that Soul Ring, I think, just to keep us all on roughly the same mana. Aura Shards is whenever a creature comes into play under our control, we can destroy an artifact or enchantment. And Head Games, I don't know what this does. 5 mana, target player or target opponent puts cards from their hand on top of their library. Search that player's library for that many cards and put those cards into their hand. Wow, that's yeah, that's something. You could just fill someone's hand with lands with that, couldn't you? That is targeting the Yidris player. They have 8 cards in hand currently. Okay, and that took quite a while to resolve, so I'm guessing the Yidris player does not just have a bunch of lands in hand now. Massacre Girl going for a Heartless Summoning as well. Makes creature spells cost 2 less to cast. And Massacre Girl confirms there that they did not just give the Yidris player a bunch of lands. And uncounterable, Birds of Paradise comes down. Uncounterable because Rhythm of the Wild keeps your creature spells from being countered. And then a Chromatic Lantern, so some nice mana fixing going on this turn for Yidris. And then a Wreck Sage going on to Aura Shards, I imagine. I wasn't going to target my opponent with that, but no doubt they're going for Aura Shards here. And then Wreck Sage came down with haste thanks to the Rhythm of the Wild, so that's going in at Jace. Now we'll see what Atraxa's got in store for us. They have 8 cards in hand and they have us all draw a card thanks to Jace Bellerin. We get a Sundering Growth, so it might be worth aiming that at the Rhythm of the Wild. I wanted to go for Aura Shards onto the Mana Crypt because this black player seems to have a lot of good stuff going on. And that seems like Atraxa mana. Nope, it's Tamiyo Field Researcher. Choose up to 2 creatures. Whenever those creatures deal combat damage, you draw a card. That's until your next turn. -2, tap up to 2 target non-land permanents. And they don't untap during the next untap step, so that freezes them. And then 7 loyalty removed gives you draw 3 cards and it's Omniscience, isn't it? Yeah, without paying their mana cost, you can cast spells from your hand. So that is Omniscience. Let's just get down a basic forest. Yeah, I think we go in for Tolsimir here. I wanted to get down Arlin, but I don't think that's the best thing for us to go for at this point. So let's get down our commander. I'm not too sure how well we're going to do this game, because this seems to be an anti-creature game that we're running so far. Let's get rid of a mana from our opponent. That can be payback for the Aura Shards. Okay, the Massacre Girl says that he has Elder Spell. I would think that he would want to save that until Atraxa gets a lot of Planeswalkers into play, but if he wants to cast his Elder Spell, I'm not going to stop him. A Dark Ritual from Massacre Girl, and a Strip Mine as well. And then Liliana of the Dark Realms. They are running low on swamps, so I think that's a pretty good Planeswalker for them to get into. They can plus to search for a swamp and put it into their hand. And then the Elder Spell goes after the 2 Planeswalkers. Destroy any number of target Planeswalkers. Choose a Planeswalker you control and put 2 loyalty counters on it for each Planeswalker destroyed this way. They managed, because of that, to get into their emblem with Liliana of the Dark Realms, so You get an emblem with swamps you control, have tap and add 4 black. So that's something. And then they go into a mutilate, and then it's living weapon, and there we go. I hope our opponent's regretting getting rid of our aura shards. This seems like a really good Massacre Girl deck that our opponent's running here. A Zendikar Resurgent for Yidris, further ramp for them. Whenever you tap a land for mana, add 1 mana of any type that land produced, and then whenever you cast a creature spell, you draw a card. So they are into a bunch of mana next turn. Alright, down has come an Oath of Gideon, an Oath of Kaya, and a couple of core tokens from the Oath of Gideon. The Oath of Kaya, when it enters, it drains someone for 3. Whenever an opponent attacks a planeswalker you control with 1 or more creatures, it deals 2 damage to that player and you gain 2 life. Yeah, so it's just a drain effect oath basically. Let's go in for a forest and we can Tolsimir again and just hope that the board doesn't get blown up yet again. We can get our Tolsimir down again next turn with the Mana Crypt, but I don't really want to be spending all of our time recasting our commander. I don't know if I've covered the fact that a Shizo Death Storehouse has been snuck down by our opponent as well. That might be relevant in the later game, or at least when Massacre Girl comes down. Or when a Sheoldred comes down. This will give a legendary creature fear. If they get down an Urborg, they won't need that because Sheoldred has Swamp Walk. And equipping the Lash Wraith to that, the equip cost is 2 Phyrexian black mana, +1/+1 for each swamp you control, making Sheoldred an 8/8. And then at the beginning of your upkeep, return a creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. And at the beginning of each opponent's upkeep, they have to sack a creature. Yidris does not have any creatures to sacrifice. I think that hurts us more than anyone else actually, because I don't imagine Atraxa is too worried about losing a core ally token. What our 2 opponents here might be worried about is the fact that they both control swamps. Now I'm just trying to work out the likelihood of us being able to fight our way out of that Sheoldred. We can blow up the Lash Wraith, and that will take Sheoldred down to a 5/5 thanks to the Heartless Summoning, giving their creatures -1/-1. Now can we get 5 power on the board is the question. Actually, maybe we can. If we go for Arlinn, Voice of the Pack, and then create a wolf, that will come down as a 3/3, fight Sheoldred with that, and then in response get down Spirit of the Hunt. Actually, we can wait for the fight to resolve and then go for Spirit of the Hunt. Yeah, I think we can get rid of this Sheoldred actually. And a Deathrite Shaman coming down with haste by the looks of it, as well as the Yidris. Can't remember if I went over that or not. Oh no, the Deathrite Shaman is just coming down with a plus counter. All my plans are solely reliant on whether or not Atraxa goes for a board wipe again. They've got 5 cards in hand and a Yidris is coming in at them. Yidris has 3 mana held up. Actually 6 mana held up thanks to Zendikar Resurgent. They're just going to double block with the cause, which tells me that there's a board wipe coming in. Let's see what we've got here. A Gruul Signet, and that cascades into Need for Speed. Sack a land, target creature gains haste until the end of the turn. So, as with most Yidris decks, they really want to get a hit in with Yidris as quickly as they can. And then a 5 mana cascade spell. That's the Gitrog monster. Play that on the channel. Really like Gitrog, a very powerful commander. They'll get down another land for the turn, assuming they have one in their hand. Let's see what they cascade into. Ramunap and the Gitrog monster go hand in hand together very nicely. Ramunap allows you to play lands from the graveyard, and the Gitrog monster lets you play an additional land each turn, but you have to sack a land at the beginning of your upkeep. But every time a land of yours dies, you draw a card. And then a Swiftfoot Boots, that is the 3rd cascade spell of the turn for Yidris. Don't think they have the mana to equip that, do they? They get into Unbridled Growth. The enchanted land has add 1 mana of any colour, but you can sacrifice it to draw a card. And then a Swiftfoot Boots comes down. And then apparently they do have the mana to go for that. They might want to cast another spell off of the Deathrite Shaman. This thing can tap and exile a land from a graveyard to add a mana. But no, they've decided to move the Swiftfoot Boots back over to the Gitrog monster. Let's see if we do see that board wipe that we were worried about. And a Hallowed Burial, yeah, so all creature cards on the bottom of their owner's libraries. What do we go for here? Well, the Lifecrafter's Bestiary isn't the worst, I don't think. We'll get down the Mana Crypt. Lifecrafter's Bestiary will give us a scry during our upkeep. Whenever we cast a creature spell, we can pay green to draw a card. And then, just because we're not doing much else, let's go for a Planeswalker here. This will have our Wolves enter with a +1/+1 counter, which means these 2/2s enter as a 3/3. That will not trigger the Lifecrafter's Bestiary because we didn't cast it. We'll just pass the turn like that. I really like Tolsimir, Friend to Wolves, as a commander, but I just don't think it's good enough to ever win games, really. If you're in a playgroup that plays casual, more budget-friendly decks, then Tolsimir, Friend to Wolves is really good, especially considering that most of the wolves are really cheap and inexpensive creatures. What is our opponent doing there? That is a Promise to Power, and I think they just created a demon there. I don't think they drew 5 cards and lost 5 life. A Caged Sun will get even more ramp into play. That means that the swamps will tap for 5 mana each. And then a Defense Grid. Each spell costs 3 more to cast except during its controller's turn. So that's just an anti-counter spell card, really. And then tapping out, that is a big flying 9/9 demon. But yeah, Tolsimir, Friend to Wolves, I think in a more budget environment, it's a really good commander to play. But in the more high-powered bracket that you tend to be playing in Magic Online, I was never going to hold out much hope for winning games with Tolsimir. I just think it's too easily affected by board wipes and spot removal. Someone might be able to come up with a good Tolsimir build, but I don't hold out much hope. I'm enjoying this game anyway, though. I think I'm going to upload this. I really like the look of this Massacre Girl deck. I might ask this player for the deck list and see if I can get their permission to play it. This Yidris player seems quite frightening as well. That's a 5/4 haster coming back down. And it doesn't look like they're going to struggle to cast their commander anytime soon. Let's see if they go after our Planeswalker. Nope, they're just going in at Atraxa. They've really got it in for that player. Looks like they want rid of Atraxa sooner rather than later, because they're just going to keep wiping the board otherwise. Oh, and a Muldrotha the Gravetide. They get to Cascade from a 6-mana spell, and also draw a card thanks to Zendikar Resurgent. They only get a Simic Signet from that, though. Now, Yidris still has 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 mana available to them with 7 cards in hand. They can also cast permanents from the graveyard. Do they have stuff in the graveyard? They've got a Rex Sage, a bird, and a Trade Route, so they could go for an enchantment and a creature there. They probably go after the Reclamation Sage. I don't know what they want to kill with that, though. Yep, the Rex Sage coming out of the graveyard thanks to Muldrotha. Popular commander in her own right. During each of your turns you may play up to 1 permanent of each permanent type from your graveyard. Let's see where the Rex Sage is being pointed. Yep, it's being pointed at the Caged Sun. I mean, I don't really know if I'm all that worried about the Caged Sun anymore, thanks to the Liliana emblem. Swamps you control, tap for 4 mana. The only saving grace there is that they only have 3 swamps in play, but if they get down an Urborg, then they are going to have all the mana in the world. A Jadi Offshoot, that is a 1 mana 0/3 defender. Whenever a land enters under your control, you gain 1 life. That probably just cascades into a Mana Crypt or something like that, doesn't it? Oh, they cascaded into nothing there, I think. So maybe they don't have Mana Crypt in the deck. It's not in Exile, is it? And it's not in the graveyard, so maybe they don't run any 0 mana spells. And then the Swiftfoot Boots goes on to the Muldrotha, and it is back round to Atraxa, who now has 5 cards in hand. And I'm sure they don't like the look of all these creatures that are on the battlefield. There's a Sorin Grim Nemesis. That will not last very long. They might just minus it down. It comes in with 7 loyalty, and they can minus X to deal X damage to a creature or planeswalker. They just go for the plus, so that is reveal the top card of your library. Put it into your hand. Each opponent loses life equal to the CMC. They revealed... we already knew about Oath of Gideon, so they revealed Deploy the Gatewatch. That's quite a good one to reveal off of that. It's a lot of damage to us all. Oh, a Skull Clamp. Skull Clamp. Yeah, I think I'd regret not putting that on top. Now then, I think we definitely want to kill Yidris, although they do have lots of mana. We could get rid of the Zendikar Resurgent, and that will put down their mana considerably. Yeah, I think we just have to go for our commander. This deck doesn't do a whole lot without it. It's part of the problem with Tolsimir. And then let's shuffle things up. We'll get down our forest. And unfortunately can't put green into that because I want to Sundering Growth. Yeah, because our commander has died a few times, even though we've ramped quite nicely, we're struggling on mana still. Yeah, so as it stands now, I don't think we're going to keep our Voja. We'll just have to Sundering Growth and get ourselves another wolf token. Voja is going to enter as a 4/4 thanks to Arin. So that can fight the Yidris. And they will trade. And then we just hold up the Sundering Growth. This will give us another wolf token because we destroy an artifact or enchantment and then populate. Then Arling can spit out another wolf. And I don't want to kill that Rex Sage because it will just come back to Muldrotha next turn. So I'm just going to target like that. And then why don't we go in at Sorin. And we'll get drained for 2 thanks to Oath of Kaya. Now I'm going to wait for the Sundering Growth to see what the black player does. I don't think they're going to do anything about the Zendikar Resurgent, but you never know. Mono black player isn't likely to do much against enchantments. Getting down a swamp before attacks because this demon will get +1/+1 per swamp that's in play. Now let's see where this flying demon is headed. Going in straight at Yidris' face. Yeah, Yidris is most certainly the player to target currently. I don't much like the idea of Super Friends wiping the board all the time, but Yidris has definitely got a lot going on here. Oh, and then a Decree of Pain. I think they did that. Yeah, they're not cycling that, are they? So that is destroy all creatures. Draw a card for each creature destroyed this way, so I will not respond to that with a Sundering Growth because that will just give them another creature to destroy and therefore another card draw. Yeah, we'll just have to leave that. They've jumped from 2 cards all the way up to 9 cards and they've got the mana to do whatever they will here. A Sol Ring because they need even more mana apparently. Oh, and noteworthy, I didn't notice that. Yidris has gone into the graveyard. I expanded my opponent's commander tab and noticed Yidris wasn't there. It's in the command zone, so in the graveyard, not the command zone, so that tells us that they might be trying to reanimate it. And then the Strip Mine going after the basic like we spoke about before. They can sacrifice this Unbridled Growth in response to that. Not really sure why they're going for the Strip Mine on that actually. Now as much as Yidris is being targeted here, I think they're still a threat even now because they have a few haste enablers on the board. 3 haste enablers on the board and they still have a lot of mana, so unless we get rid of this Zendikar Resurgent, I think they're still going to be able to get a lot of stuff done. A charcoal diamond for the black player, so even more mana ramp. Just going to yield till the end of the turn. And then a legendary enchantment. All creatures get -1/-1. Knight of Soul's Betrayal. Really like that artwork. We don't have many 1/1 wolves. I think we only have a couple actually. And there's the Mirror Entity as well, which is a 3 mana all creature types creature. Other than that, I don't think this is going to be too effective against us. Alright, here we go. It's now or never. We'll go for the Sundering Growth onto the Zendikar Resurgent. And I don't know how much Yidris costs now. Oh, but I forgot about the... Yeah, I've completely forgot about the defense grid. So we're just going to have to allow our Yidris opponent to go for whatever they want. Yeah, that's completely forgot about the defense grid. Each spell costs 3 generic more to cast, except during its controller's turn. Yeah, so that hurts us very much there. We should have gone for it during our turn if we wanted rid of this Zendikar Resurgent. Tomorrow, as Army's Familiar, if you would draw a card, look at the top 3 cards of your library, and put one of those cards into your hand instead. Mina and Den comes down, another commander. Play an additional land during each of your turns, and then for Gruul, and bounce a land, target creature gains trample until the end of the turn. And out comes the Gitrog monster again, and they get to draw another card, or actually they get to look at the top 3 cards and choose one of them thanks to the Tomorrow. And that is also coming down with haste, so I get the feeling that a couple of Planeswalkers are going to be taken out this turn. Oh, and a Titania Protector of Argoth as well. This seems to be like a Lord Windgrace Lands Matter type deck. It's got all the Lands Matter cards in it, like Mina and Den, Gitrog, Titania, with a little splash of blue in there for great cards like Tomorrow. This is a really good engine our opponent's got going on here. They've got a lot of stuff going this turn, and they're still on 8 cards in hand. They return a forest back to their hand because probably they don't have a fetch in the graveyard. No, they don't. They get to sack one of their own lands anyway with an Evolving Wilds. So they get to draw a card from Gitrog, / look at the top 3 cards and pick one. And they also get a 5/3 Elemental from Titania, which is actually a 4/2 thanks to the Knight of Soul's Betrayal. And then Swiftfoot Boots has moved over to Titania, and then giving a target creature haste by sacrificing a land will draw a card with Gitrog and get another Elemental out with Titania. Can our opponent take us all out here? If they have enough lands, then they could sack a bunch of lands and create a bunch of 4/2 Elementals and give a load of those Elementals haste, all but one of them haste if they sack all their lands. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Atraxa Scoops. They might have seen that little combination. That is 44 damage from the Elementals alone. And then maybe getting the other damage. Yeah, I think they can actually do it. I think they can create a bunch of Elementals with haste here and take both players out, especially now that Atraxa decided to scoop on us. Okay, but they've opted not to do that. They're just going in with 18, 19, 20, 21. That's exactly the right amount to take out Massacre Girl. And I dare say we are going to lose to the Maelstrom Wielder next turn anyway. So taking out the Massacre Girl, and Yidris Maelstrom Wielder is proving to us all just how powerful a commander it is. Now, watch us not draw a board wipe. Okay, not sure how a land got into the graveyard here. Our opponent discarded a Crumbling Necropolis, so they had to draw a card with Gitrog Monster. And we just get into a land, so we are doing a fat wad of nothing. I am just going to tap out and give our opponent the satisfaction of swinging in And this is exactly how I assumed it would go. Tolsimir, Friend to Wolves, is, like I said, a more budget-friendly commander. It's just too easy to disrupt it with board wipes and removal. And if you've built your whole deck around subpar wolf creatures, as most of them are with regards to commander, and you can't keep your commander in play, then the whole deck kind of crumbles and falls apart, as I assumed it would. So on Magic Online, where the decks tend to be more high-powered, it's not really a good fit, unfortunately. I think they can just turn everything sideways and take us out, can't they? Yeah, they're going into attacks there. That is 5, 10, 15, 20, 32, 36, 37 actually. I don't know if they have enough to take us out there. Yeah, I did work that out correctly very quickly. My mental arithmetic isn't all that bad. So we have another turn to try and draw into a board wipe. Makes me wish I'd actually played something on my turn now. Instead of just passing it over, I assumed our opponent could have gotten lethal on us there. And they could actually. I think they were just trying to end it really quickly. Alright, now let's see if we can see a board wipe on top and not just a land. We also need to dodge the lightning bolt from Mana Crypt as well. Okay, Sol Ring is not it, so we will put that on the bottom. And don't bolt us. No, we lost the flip, so we lose to Mana Crypt. But really, we lost to our opponent's Yidris deck. That was a very, very impressive Yidris deck. They got hated out throughout most of the game there, but managed to still get things going. I wonder how much differently that would have gone if our opponent hadn't had the Zendikar Resurgent. And that's our fault for not blowing it up when we had the chance. I completely forgot about my opponent's Defense Grid, was it called? That card that made it so that we couldn't cast the Sundering Growth anyway. But yeah, don't think I'm going to put too much effort into Tolsimir. I just don't think it's quite there from a power level perspective. So I think I'm just going to concentrate on other more powerful commanders that we actually have half a chance of winning with. Like I've said a few times this game, if you're in a more budget friendly meta and you just want to throw decks together for like $10, $20, $30, something like that, then Tolsimir, Friend to Wolves is a really good one for you to build. But for Magic Online it won't quite cut it unless you're just going to get a group of friends together online and play that way. I don't think Tolsimir is really all that great for Magic Online. But hope you enjoyed it. Got to see a couple of interactions here and there. I was actually more interested to see the Yidris and Massacre Girl player go off. They were some really good decks from our opponents. Hope you liked the video, and I will see you all next time. I'm tribalkai on the EDH channel. Thank you for watching.